everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today's video is going to be all about how I stay productive at work and tips for staying focused and organized while at work. And this was actually a requested video, and I feel like it's a really top of mind topic right now for a lot of us that are working from home, whether that be work or maybe you're doing school from home, and it's just can be tough to stay focused, especially when you have so many distractions around you of your house and the world is crazy and you're just like, you know, what is this new way of living? So I will say before I start getting into the tips that I have not completely mastered this at all. It's really tough to stay focused. I, for one, have a very hard time focusing, but I have found some really helpful tips and tricks that have helped me focus when I really need to, and I really wanted to share them with you today. Alright, so the very first one is an extremely useful tip that I have been utilizing so often, especially when I really need to get something done quickly. And I saw this tip on a TikTok video, so if I can find the video again, I will link it down in the description. But the basic idea is that if you can find yourself a way to focus for only 5 minutes, you will be able to unlock another 20 minutes of focusing, and then after that another 40 minutes of focusing, because your brain actually goes into a deeper state of focus. So once you've already focused for 5 minutes straight, it's that much easier to continue focusing. So if you can just say, okay, I'm just going to focus on the task at hand right now, be it a small task, especially just if you check off something that, you know, really only takes 5 minutes to do, whatever it is, if you can just find yourself a way to focus on it for 5 minutes, you can then continue focusing for so long. Because I always thought of it as like, oh, like this task is gonna take me like 40 minutes, it's gonna take me so long, like I don't want to do this, like, and I'll, you know, makes me want to procrastinate. But if I just tell myself like, no, you just need to focus for 5 minutes, like just focus for 5 minutes, and then it'll be so much easier to continue focusing. So that I have found has been really helpful. It's because it unlocks deep concentration is the thing, is that like you have this like surface level of concentration, and then once you've been concentrating for, you know, at least 5 minutes, you unlock this like deeper focus that you can only get into once you've started to focus. So I just thought that that was really cool. The next tip I found really helpful is listening to classical music, and that might sound kind of silly, like classical music, like, you know, so fancy or something, but there is something I have heard about classical music, especially when studying or doing work, that can actually help the brain just like, I don't know, either focus better or just store information, just think through things and like unlock different parts of your memory or your thinking capabilities. I don't know the technical term, but I do know that I've just tested it out for myself, and I've tried just putting in a Pandora station of classical music, and it's really helped. I mean, it doesn't have to be classical music as well. It could be any type of music that works for you. I've just found that sometimes music with words sometimes distracts me more. So, I mean, it's just something to try, and this was something that I actually started doing in college because one of my friends suggested it. She always listened to music while she studied, and I kind of thought like, oh, I could never do that because it would just be way too distracting for me. But it actually, I gave it a try and I realized, oh, this does help me focus on just like the right here and the right now, having like that music in your ears versus like hearing like a bump over there or like a sound over here. It's just kind of like helps you focus in the right here. So I mean, give it a try. I mean, maybe you find out that you're actually the type of person that just doesn't need music at all, or you need that really quiet spot in the library with no sound. But I have found that classical music actually just really helps with the focusing, and like, I don't know, it helps me like when I listen to it, I'm like inspired. I'm like, oh, now I'm gonna do this, and oh, I have this idea. So just a thought. The next tip is to make yourself a comfortable working space. making your desk cute, just like having a comfortable chair, having a chair that actually supports your back and that you have good posture so that you're not like, you know, uncomfortable all day and making yourself want to get up and like you're like, oh, I can't sit here any longer. Being able to actually have a comfortable spot that you can sit in for a long time will help you continue to keep doing work. So I found this cute little chair on Wayfair. It might not be the most like ergonomic, as in like straightens up your back or anything, but it is cute and it's fluffy and it spins. So it actually helps me just like sit there. Other things I have on my desk that make me like, you know, feel comfy are candles. So sometimes it's nice to light a candle, have like a nice scent. Maybe actually you do like some essential oils or something. Just any like scent that makes you feel like happy and comfortable is going to make you like not want to get up from your desk and like run away. Yeah, also having like maybe a cute like mouse or like a keyboard or a monitor. I mean, you don't have to go crazy, but just in general, whatever makes you comfortable, having a cute little space really does help to just, I don't know, be happy and stay focused. The next tip is a little bit more of an obvious one, and I'm sure we've all heard this everywhere, but I'm just going to throw this in the video anyways because we're talking about it. But that is putting your phone away. Obviously, like, it can be really hard to put your phone away, especially if you're expecting something important or you just want to know what's going on. But if you, I mean, putting it away for like 20, 30, 40 minutes is not going to like kill you. Like, it's not going to hurt you, you know? So what I actually do is, so I actually, if I'm sitting at my desk like this, I'll put it on the table behind me so I can't even see it at all. And I have it on silent too, so I can't hear all the vibrations and or the sounds and wonder like, what is that notification? Because I found that if the phone is actually on the desk with me, I'm more likely to pick it up and look at it, and that's when I get distracted, because I've noticed that a big like easy way to break someone's distraction is if you're at work and you're working, but like you pull up a page and the page takes a little bit to load, or you have to like wait for that email to download or something. You're basically just waiting for your computer to load. That's when I like pick up my phone and I start scrolling through Instagram or something, and then it takes me down a hole and, you know, you get distracted. So just putting it behind you takes away that temptation to pick up your phone and start scrolling. All right, and then another helpful tip is to utilize timers. Now, some people don't really like this. I, for one, don't really like this because I don't like feeling like I'm under pressure, but I have find that it has helped me focus in some cases. So I have this cute little pink, it's like a pink glass hourglass, and it has obviously sand in it. So when I flip it over, it starts timing, and I just happen to know that this is about 10 minutes. So again, kind of coming back to the idea of like, if you can just focus for 5 minutes, then you can keep focusing. Like if I really am like, come on, focus, I will flip this over and just tell myself like, while this is running, you can't pick up your phone, you can't do anything else that is not the task at hand. So I do find that having a little timer is helpful. You can also utilize someone actually just recently told me about the Pomodoro method, which is another way of timing yourself, and that's online. Or you can even just, if you don't even want to buy something like this, you can just Google like a timer, say on your work laptop. You could put a timer on your phone, but the phone is distracting. So yeah, just any way of like timing yourself kind of helps to be like, oh, I need to get this done quickly, and you know, there's a limit here, so I better get going. You know, things like that. It can also be really helpful to know what time of day works best for you and using that to your advantage. A lot of people will talk about like if you're a morning person or a night person, and for me, I would love to be a morning person, but actually I find that I have my best ideas at night, I work the best at night, and nighttime just happens to work for me. So I will save certain tasks, say more thoughtful tasks, like if I really need to think out an email, or I really need to think out a strategy or some type of a report I'm putting together. I will prefer to do that after the day is completed, just because I know that that's when works for me. For some reason, I can't complete big tasks during the middle of work in between my meetings because I feel like, oh, I need to check my emails and I get distracted too much. I like to just have complete, like, uninterrupted time to work on something. Or other people I know like to get into the office really early before anyone else has gotten there, and that's their time to really get ahead and focus. So it really just depends. Everybody's different, but the point is just figuring out what time of the day works best for you and knowing, like, it's okay, it's not my time of day right now. Like, I will get this done later, or, you know, tomorrow morning or tonight or whenever it is, because that's when I work best. So next one is the importance of taking breaks. And again, might kind of seem like an obvious one, but taking breaks helps us to, when we come back to work, actually feel like we can keep going. So I, for one, am really guilty of just not taking breaks, where I will work through lunch or eat my lunch as I am answering emails or prepping for calls or something. And sometimes that just has to be done, but when I do that, it's about finding time later in the day to go for a 30-minute walk, or, like, I don't know, if you're at home, do yoga or something. Whatever it is that you need to do, but taking an amount of time during the day to actually take a break helps clear your mind, and then when you come back to work, you're ready to keep working. Another tip is, of course, to make a to-do list. So sometimes when it really feels like there's just so much to do and you feel like so overwhelmed and you're like, I can't possibly get all of this done, making a to-do list helps to organize and actually show you in front of yourself how much you actually have to get done, and then you can prioritize your list from there. So I actually don't just have one long to-do list. I break it out into 3 separate to-do lists of, like, highest priority, medium priority, and low priority. And my highest priority is, this stuff needs to get done by end of day or else. Like, and I try to keep that one as, like, curated and as true to actually needs to be done end of day as possible. Second to that is the medium priority, which is like, it would be nice if this could get done by end of day 2, but end of day tomorrow or end of week could also suffice here as well. And then the low priority is items that don't need to get done right now at all, but they are items that when you actually have a little bit of time, those are the, like, items that you'll look at and sneak in. So say if you have, like, 5 minutes before a meeting and you don't have enough time to do, like, your big to-do list items, but that are, like, going to take a lot of time, but you just have, like, you know, little things to get done, looking at that low priority to-do list and saying, is there anything on here that I can just sneak in? Or, like, examples of things I'd put on my low priority are, like, if I had to take a training, or if I had, like, something that I needed to look into, of just like, oh, when I have time, I'm gonna look up, like, what this means or what this is. Little things like that. Another tip is this concept of, like, eat the frog, which I saw on one of my friends on Instagram. She posted it. She basically posted this, like, eat the frog, and I took it to mean getting the biggest task done first. Ugh. Because I feel like a lot of times the biggest task is the one you want to procrastinate on the most. But if you get the biggest task done first, then you can free up for everything else, and then everything else after that feels easy. And most of the time when you get the biggest thing done first, you realize that it's not as big as you thought it was. Like, I've had certain emails that have come in and I've, like, briefly skimmed them, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be really annoying. Like, this is going to take a lot of, like, thought power. I'm going to need to come back to this. And then when I actually do come back to it and I finish it, I'm like, oh, that wasn't as big as a deal as I thought it was. So sometimes, and then that, like having accomplished that, I'm like, I thought that was going to be the hardest thing on my to-do list, and now it's done. So now I'm, like, ready to do the rest of the to-do list. So sometimes eating the frog, doing the biggest task first, can help get that to-do list done faster and just, you know, keep going. The next tip is one that I actually found out about and I heard in my very first like real job ever here in New York. And that was that if it's only going to take 2 minutes, do it now. So any task that'll take you less than 2 minutes, just complete it now. Like, just get it done now, because if you put it off until later, then it's gonna take all this time to do it. And then, especially if it's a really quick task, sometimes people that you work with expect it to get done quicker, like, oh, you can just like do this because it's like only 2 minutes or something. But the point is that it really does just kind of help move things along in your day and get things done quicker. If, say, something takes 2 minutes, and that doesn't even have to be in work, it can be in life too. Like, say if you just finished lunch, if you just finished lunch and say you have like your plate and your fork, and instead of just setting it down in the sink, it'll take you less than 2 minutes to wash that plate and fork and just, you know, put it on the drying rack or put it away. And then you don't end up with this huge pile of dishes later if every time you just had, you know, quick, like literally 1 minute to wash that one thing. I say this as I'm like staring at a sink full of dishes right now, because what I'm saying is like I'm not perfect and I do not utilize these things all the time. And that's the other thing too, is like not being so hard on yourself if you're not like perfect sticking to these rules all the time, or even most of the time. It's just about trying it and giving it a try and knowing that these are things that can help you, and trying to implement them in your life and utilize them where you can. Yeah, I like, you see what I guess the point is that if you don't do the thing that takes 2 minutes like immediately, it'll just pile up. So if it takes less than 2 minutes, just get it done now. And then the very last tip is blocking off your calendar. I'm just gonna say right now, I do not do this one, but I'm including it because I know a lot of people that do this. Actually, I'd say most of the people that I work with utilize this method. I don't, because it doesn't work for me, but it clearly works for a lot of people. And the reason why they block off their calendar is because it helps them like basically compartmentalize their day, and they can say like, oh, I have this meeting at this time and then this meeting at this time, so in between then I have about 30 minutes and this task should take me about 30 minutes, so I'll complete it at this time. It makes sense, right? Like, you're like, okay, that makes sense. The reason why I don't like it is because I can't say for sure, like in my head, that a task is like how much time a task is going to take me. I don't know why, but I can't just like define or determine like this is a 20-minute task or this is a 40-minute task. So I don't know, I just have other methods, but a lot of people do kind of like block off their calendars of like times to do things. Actually, that's another tip that I wasn't even going to include, but it's a really important one, is blocking off your calendar. Like, if you utilize a calendar at work, just blocking off a time so that someone else doesn't put time on your calendar, so that you have some more time in the day between meetings and stuff to get stuff done. Oh my gosh, as soon as I started doing that, it actually changed my whole world. Just blocking off time to where, like, because on your coworkers' calendars, they can't see, if your coworkers were to look at your calendar, they can't see like what the names of the meetings are. They can just see that you're blocked off at that time, unless you give them special like actual permission to see your calendar. They can't see it. So what I'll do is I'll just like block off a half an hour or an hour time slot and just write in there like work. Or I'll just like put a space bar and it's just like a placeholder basically. So I found that that's helpful. But yes, I think that is it. That is all of the tips that I have. I'm sure that there's so many others that I didn't include this video, but I will include them potentially in a future vlog. So make sure that you are subscribed for those. And definitely check out the Fashion Squirrel as well over on Instagram. And yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I will see you guys next time. Okay, bye.